Hey everybody, it's Joel Williams and Chase Elleby at Williams Elleby coming to you today with another video. And today we want to talk about road conditions and kind of unpack and unveil the hazards of snow, ice, and rain on daily driving, especially with the holidays coming up. When we're recording this video, I think the extended weather forecast has a blizzard coming in from the northeast into the Midwest and all that. So this might apply to our friends in the Midwest and central U.S. We usually focus a lot on Georgia, but you know, we don't get too many snow and ice
every couple of years
here, but every now and then we do when it gets really bad. But so first we're going to talk about some of the things to pay attention to when you're driving to keep yourself and others safe. So what do we want to talk about first, Chase?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we typically see in wrecks that involve road conditions is someone's just driving too fast, right? Too fast for conditions is probably something you've heard, and it's so simple. Just slow down, right? You can't go, well, this is me. I'm speaking just for myself. I'm not speaking on behalf of Farm or anyone. But if I'm on the highway, I'm usually going about 10 to 12 over, right? That's my cruising speed.
That's the biggest lawyer answer I've ever
Right.
seen in my life.
But if it's raining or if it's snowing or if it's icy, just slow down. You have to slow down, because if you don't slow down, and if you're even sometimes if you're driving the speed limit, but everyone else has slowed down because say it's one of those torrential downpours, you will be found at fault for driving too fast for those conditions, because the conditions don't call for you to be driving at the speed limit on the highway when it's a downpour. So first things first, just slow down and don't drive too fast for whatever the conditions dictate.
Yeah, and just because, like you said, just because you're driving the speed limit that's posted on the side of the roadway, or if you've got one of those fancy cars that has the on-dash speed on it or whatever, just because it says 55 doesn't mean you should drive 55, and you can receive a too fast for conditions citation even if you're driving within the speed limit if it's too fast for the weather conditions that are then prevailing. Number two, we're going to go with following too closely. This is one that is very closely related to kind of that catch-all too fast for conditions type citation. So following too closely in normal weather conditions where there's not any hazardous road conditions out there, you may have, what do they go and say, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi until you get to the spot, depending on your speed or whatever. But you may need more distance if you have ice on the roadway, or if there's any kind of thing that could cause you to not be able to stop as quickly. Just keep that in mind, because if you rear end somebody, even if it is snow, and even if there is snow and ice, or you know, puddles on the water, you could still likely be found to be at fault for that wreck.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb is give yourself as much space as you think you'll need if the car in front of you just locks up and slams on the brakes.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't think you have enough space to react, then you're following too closely. I've had so many calls where a client has called, a potential client has called and said, well, the car in front of me, you know, they slammed on the brakes. And it's typically the situation where that car didn't hit the car in front of them because they had enough room to brake and stop in time. So always, always, always give yourself enough space so that if the car were to lock up, that you could lock up and not hit them as well. So.
Yep. And I'll tell you, probably the most common citation that we see where somebody's found to be at fault for another wreck is following too closely. And we see it all the time in rear end collisions. That's just kind of the fallback that at least the police officers in our area like to go with.
Yeah. So the next thing to definitely be on the lookout for, and this is really in any condition, not necessarily raining, snowing, ice, but you do not want to drive distracted, right? In Georgia, there's a hands-free law, so you can't have anything in your hands while you're driving. Now, we can debate that law for ages, because I see people way more distracted when they have the thing, you know, suction cup to their dashboard or window and they're messing with their phone. But just don't be distracted at all, right? Don't have anything that's going to take your eyes from the road, because I mean there's study after study after study that say even that split second time where you look at your phone or glance over, it can be the difference between a terrible wreck or no wreck at all. So do not drive distracted.
Yeah. So the fourth thing is that if the weather conditions get so bad that you really do have to pull over, first try to get to a safe spot, you know, parking lot or somewhere that's not right on the side of the road. If you can't get to that place and you have to pull over on the side of the road, always turn your hazards on, because chances are if you're pulling over, visibility is probably pretty low, and you want to do everything you can to help other motorists that don't pull over see your vehicle.
All right, so next I want to talk about mechanical issues. I can't think of a better time to check your wipers, your air pressure, things like that with your vehicle when you know there's going to be bad weather, right? always make sure your wipers work. Nothing could be more of a pain or worse for you as a driver than to turn on those windshield wipers in a downpour and nothing's working at all. So do the little things as far as proper maintenance. Again, windshield wipers, tire pressure. If it's going to be snowing or there's going to be bad weather, have something in your vehicle that's sort of like an emergency pack, right? You can go to Walmart or Target or wherever and buy a pack that has, a blanket, matches, all that sort of like survival stuff. You may need water, things like that, just to sort of be aware of. Here in Georgia a couple years ago, we had what we called Snowmageddon, where literally the highways shut down, people were stranded in their vehicles. So if you had a pair of boots or gloves, you could have literally got out of your car and walked and it would have been fine. So plan ahead.
People did.
Hey, they did, right, but if you had boots, it would have been much better as opposed to like dress shoes. But sort of plan ahead, make sure you do all the things you need to do with your vehicle, and just be safe out there.
You know what I learned in 2018?
What's that?
When it was like, I think it was literally a foot of snow on my deck, which was unheard of for Georgia.
And it was in with like an hour. It was like something.
Yeah, and we lost power for like 4 days. I realized my coffee maker is electric.
Yeah.
That was a disaster. So I did not do the smart thing, and I drove to Starbucks where they actually had power.
And you delivered me a Starbucks.
I did. See, that's what a good law partner does.
That's right.
But anyway, yeah, so just make sure you're prepared for emergencies, and because you don't want your windshield wipers not working or skipping across the windshield because they don't have the right rubber on them or whatever, and the tread on your tires and all that good stuff. So the other thing that you need to consider when dealing with these things like too fast for conditions or following too closely or anything like that is that if you are in a wreck and you're issued a citation, in the state of Georgia, if you plead guilty to that citation, that can be used against you if the person you hit is injured and then brings a claim against you, or if they bring a claim against you for property damage that you caused. So you want to do everything just from a risk management perspective to avoid getting that citation, because if you plead guilty to it, then that could be what we call prima facie, say it for me.
Prima facie.
Thank you. Evidence that can be used against you. So just keep that in mind, not only to protect yourself and be safe, but also from a risk management perspective.
Another thing to be on the lookout for or to guard against when the road conditions are poor is road rage.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people get frustrated when the car in front of you, the light's green, the car in front of you is not going, and you honk on the horn and things like that. But especially when the conditions are poor, more cautious driver are going to drive even more cautiously. And so if you're like in a hurry somewhere, or you're just generally a person that likes to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and damn to everyone else on the road, just calm down. Give yourself extra time. Don't, fly off the handles at every little thing, because most of the time when it's poor conditions, people are driving more cautiously. So don't get overheated, because again, that'll be another citation. It could be a potential felony. Bad things can happen when you let road rage get the best of you.
And last but certainly not least is the most no-brainer, common sense thing you could ever imagine, especially around the holidays where there's people all over the road, you're going to holiday parties, you're having Thanksgiving dinner, whatever. Do not get behind the wheel. If you're buzzed, if you've been drinking, if you've done any kind of mind-altering substance, just don't do it. Because not only will you be liable for the wreck that you cause, you can also be liable for punitive damages, which may or may not be covered by your automobile insurance policy and can expose you to an enormous verdict and liability against you. So it's just not worth it. I got a call the other day from somebody who needed a DUI attorney, which we don't do, but he needed a DUI attorney for his wife, who was in a wreck, and it wasn't even her fault. Somebody else caused the wreck, and when the cops came out there, they realized she had been drinking. So she was in a wreck that wasn't her fault, but she still got the DUI. She's still going to face criminal prosecution. So just be very careful around the holidays, especially when road conditions are not favorable with rain or sleet or snow or whatever. Do not drink and drive, and do not do drugs and drive.
Well, Well, we appreciate y'all watching this video, and remember, if you ever need a personal injury lawyer, please feel free to reach out to us. Also, comment in the section below if you have any other topics you'd like for us to discuss. Subscribe to our webpage, and also hit the like button. And we'll see y'all next week.